question, we're going to go right into what does working on your spiritual health look like for you?
Well, working on my spiritual health, I would say easy and basic thing is to be still. To be still, because when I'm still, that's when I can hear, right? And this is what I wanted to say before. We are not just our bodies. So it's like, you are not the body, you are the soul. So it's like being still enough to listen to the soul, to become the observer, right? So that is like what it looks like. It looks like me becoming the observer, taking time to be still, to do yoga, to pray, to meditate, to chant, to sing. I'm not a singer, but all of us, we like songs, so we sing it, right? But reminding myself, this is a practice. Like, none of this is like, this is like, some of these things, some of the little nuggets are simple. Begin again, start again. It's just like, it looks like beginning again, starting again. I'm not even gonna say like, oh, not making myself wrong, because sometimes I'm wrong. And my brother knows. I will be the first to be like, yeah, I was wrong, but beginning again, starting again, and in those moments, being still.
That's a superpower in itself. I just had to point out accountability because a lot of people struggle with that too. You can be
To be
wrong all
still.
day, but if you sit with it and don't admit it, or if you sit with it and aren't open enough to be yourself and say, hey, how can I learn from this and extend that to the next person, you'll never get anywhere. Just wanted to point that out.
And you know what? I will say it ain't always been like that. So it's like one of those
Mhm.
growth things where it's just like on the other side, I'm like, I'm either going to sit with this resentment and anger and guilt and worry and doubt for the next 5 days. Or in this moment when I'm feeling all of that flush of stuff, I can give myself a few minutes and then I can say, you know what? Can I talk to you quick? Because I'm feeling all of these things and I don't want to just like either lay it on me or lay it on you. So I just want to like, usually recently I've been saying like, I don't want to bury these things, so let's just like put them on,
Yeah.
but that's it looks like, sometimes the truth doesn't feel good, but it will make you feel good to be like, I was wrong, I did that, and then you're like, and I acknowledged it, and now we're like complete, we're free, I'm free.
Mhm. Caroline, you look like you got something you've been marinating on.
No, I know I'm very conscious. I'm talking a lot, and what's interesting is I was scared of this, and now I can't shut up. But what does
Oh,
working on?
good.
It's you, Irijah. You've absolutely like prodded all these thoughts in my mind. Like you triggered all these, like in a good way, all these like thought processes. So my brain's firing off. Um, so working on my spiritual health for me is absolutely what Irijah just said about being quiet. As loud as I am, I love being by myself and I love being in reflection, and I've always been that way. But I think creativity, what I've come to learn is, and it's something that took me a while to really get, but I was doing highly spiritual things and didn't know I was doing it. And I think a lot of people do that. If you've got a hobby, if there's something that you can sit and do for hours quietly by yourself, that's spiritual practice, you know. But we're kind of led down this road that you have to do this and you have to do that. And I feel like my journey, what the Most High wants me to do, is promote this. And again, that's why I like what Irijah said, because you don't have to do what they tell you to do in terms of spiritual practice. If you're mindful, if you're quiet, if you are able to be inside of yourself, however that presents. Erin Lyons talks about this as well, and I like Erin Lyons. Cooking, cleaning, washing your car, gardening, painting, anything creative. and maths and science is also creative. You know, we've been led to believe those things are not creative, but they absolutely are. So any kind of movement, my mind was opened up to the fact not long ago that the way we dance as Africans, as you know, in the diaspora or, you know, on the continent, it's all in the hips. It's all that movement. And where do you release that stuff in your body? In your hips. How is it that we just intuitively dance like that? So there's things that I think growing up were just standard procedure that was spiritual practice, but it was never presented to me as that is a spiritual practice. So, you know, my spiritual practice is the way I live my life every day. Cooking food from scratch, putting on my tunes, screaming at the top of my lungs, songs, dancing, you know what I mean? Drawing a picture, anything. These are all spiritual practices, you know. And if you want to go to another level, there's ways you can go to other levels in different ways. Yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, all these things. But you don't have to do those things to be highly spiritual or to be taking part in a spiritual practice.
Mark, what you got?
Well, I'm in agreement because we all have an innate ability to just do what's, you know, it's like how Irijah put it, as intuitive, right? Because through music, I think I shared that it's a form of release for me. And it's not just a release for things that I'm holding on to physically, right? It's some things that I've never experienced that through music, I put it out there and it's expressed through my vessel. My friend, one of my longest friends that I've had, he said, man, I like everything that you're doing, from putting out the book to how the subject matter of your music. He's like, you're leaving behind a legacy for family that hasn't gotten to know you as yet. I put something online the other day in memory of my grandmother. And I think that might have been what led him to call me, because we started talking about our grandfathers. And I have bits and pieces of memories of my mom's father. And he was telling me how he grew up in Trinidad with his grandfather on both sides, and they never really interacted with him like that. He said he thought they were racist because I think they're Indian and he's, you know, he has hair like us. And he said something that made me think in regards to the legacy piece. And I was like, you know what? I always told somebody who's been on the show before, Ian McQueen, that I make music for selfish reasons. And that's a part of it. It's like, yeah, I'm not really doing this to please anybody else or to have a number one hit. It's really my self-expression, for me to be fully expressed. So that's a way that I work on my spiritual health, for sure.
Once again, we're all on the same page. I think we've all touched on journaling, on music, on how creative outlets move us forward, affirmations, all of these things. I will add to Ayama's point about creativity. He's more on the music side. I play with it, but everybody here knows that spoken word is my thing, poetry is my thing. That's honestly, it used to be my hiding place, and now it's my strongest source of expression. I would add to everybody else's points and also say that when you're in whatever focus you're in, especially when you're outside, take the time to notice what's outside as well. For me personally, that's been a strong source of meditation. That's also sometimes where I get downloads from. Like, I could be staring at the way a tree sways in the wind, or birds flying, or like when we say quirky, I'm one of those people. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to take the time to notice the bees. I'm going to be fascinated by the praying mantis that just shows up randomly. And I'm going to take a look at the spiritual significance of that, things of that nature. Like, when you really tap into how your outer world can really benefit your inner world, I think that can also bring you closer to spiritual enlightenment, if you will, or further spiritual enlightenment.
I wonder if it's just come to me, I'm going to say it. If this whole spiritual thing and spiritual enlightenment and elevation and all that is a bit like the whole organic vegetable things, you know, because organic only came in because they chemicalized everything. There was a time when you never said organic vegetables. You know, I wonder if there was a time, or there's spaces probably on the planet even now where they don't even talk about this because it's just what you do. It's because we're in these toxic environments and we've been deeply programmed by the TV, and now we've got the devices and the internet and the social media and all these things that are leading us to have to seek it out more. You know,
I think so. I mean, I'm far from an expert. I'm gonna put that out there first. Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. But going through my own process and doing the research and stepping outside of the boxes that I was in, the indoctrinations and all of those things, and literally taking the time to study different types of spirituality, religions, all of those things, what I've noticed is that there have been stark edits, obviously, from humans who have their own agendas. But at the core of each of these things, there's a lot of similarities. So that proves, in my opinion, to me that at one point there was just an idea of being spiritual as a spiritual being. There wasn't, these subsects wouldn't have been necessary if it wasn't for human interference, I guess is the best way to say that. And I would also venture to say that everybody could do a better job of not, infringing their opinions on other people. Like, just because this particular study or this particular thing doesn't work for you doesn't mean it doesn't work for the next person. Some people need traditional religion. Some people need that structure to find their spirituality. Some people, like myself, are more free-flowing and are open to learning, how these things come together. But if we can find a balance between the two and just allow people to live without being so judgmental and so, in my opinion, hell-bent on arguing, sometimes for no reason, I think there could be a lot more peace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't necessarily have to agree. There's no fun in this world with if we agreed with everything each other said. But if we could agree to disagree without backbiting, I think things could be a lot calmer. I think that's why we are where we are now. Things are naturally releasing themselves in the universe, and the people who aren't able to handle it are showing themselves.
Yeah, and it's and just to add to that, I think it is the children. I said it in my promo. It's when I find myself struggling sometimes, feeling like I know I've been sat down in my yard to do certain things, and there's other things I'm gonna do, but it's not that season right now. I'll come to it. But if I can feel like with the bombardment of information, like I should be doing this and I should be doing that. I think Synthonia touched on it earlier. Like, too much information can make you feel like you're not doing things right when you're doing everything perfectly. It is what it's supposed to be. And you've got to have the ability to listen to yourself and be intuitive to know I'm where I need to be right now. And it doesn't matter what you're doing or what you're doing or what you're doing, and shutting off the noise. But equally, the beauty of what we're living in right now, which is what I love, is that some of the things that Irijah's traveled the world for, I can go on YouTube and get a tutorial on it. We couldn't do that before, and I'm the generation when I went to university at 18, the internet had just come out. So I'm the generation where you have to go to the library and find a book and pull out that book and read that book. And if you can't do that, you've got to actually go to a class physically. Now we can do virtual classes. We can find a YouTube tutorial. There's all these other ways. Like, now I can sit and listen to Irijah over Zoom. Before lockdown, we weren't even doing that.
True.
So Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just agreeing.
Yeah. But you got to manage that. That's the thing. You got to manage that feeling within yourself, or it can become overwhelming. But if you can manage that feeling and give yourself the guidelines of your own spiritual journey, you know, things like breath work I've come across on YouTube, which I had no idea of. And then it helps when you're reinforced by somebody that's a teacher like Irijah, because now I know that's the right way, because you're a teacher in it and you've gone and learnt off these people. So yeah, the information age is a double-edged sword.
For sure.
Mm.